Hi, I am Jan Reardon, and I am a very proud and honored member of the Jennifer Reardon Foundation as a board member. And each month we are able to bring the kindness connection to our community and talk with different people throughout the community that have had a huge impact, not only here in the Burlington area, but throughout the whole state of Vermont. So today, obviously, I always like to zoom in on the 4 pillars of Jen's Foundation. And those pillars are women's empowerment, early childhood education, community vitality, and financial literacy. And so today we have a little bit of everything going here with Kathleen Corbanis, who is the president of Martha's Barn, Inc. And that's just the beginning. From there, we'll get to talk about a lot of different milestones that Kathleen has been able to not only meet but exceed and get us on this path that we'll talk about today. Kathleen's been on the show a couple of times, and there's just been a lot of progress recently. So that's why we're so thankful to be able to have Kathleen over here having a little sip of water to get ready to talk to us about so many different things. I don't know where to start. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And again, I mean, as far as, community vitality, all that you have done, and we'll turn it over to you to be able to talk about that, but just to highlight all that you have done for Martha, your daughter. We'll talk about your mom and your brother Lenny. I mean, you have a long history of really being an angel. I mean, you have done some amazing things to be able to make the quality of life for those 3 people that you love and care about so much just so powerful. So let's start by, if you would, just how did it all begin? Obviously, Martha's born, she has the diagnosis, but how did you, as, Kathleen at that time with, your family already had homes down in the Rutland area that you could talk about, Chittenden. And so you just sort of took right off with everything instead of other people not having a clue. You already had so much information because of your mom and your family business. So if you could talk to us about how that all began, that would be a good starting point.
Sure. Again, thank you. I'm honored to be here too.
Oh, thank you.
Representing Kindness Connection.
Thank you. Well, you live it.
I live it.
Yeah.
I live it, but it's a beautiful little group, and I love being a part of it.
Thank you.
So I had talked on the other shows. My childhood was different than most. My brother had a traumatic brain injury when I was 10 years old. So I was...
And he was 17?
He was 17, yeah. And so my mom was really a change agent for the state of Vermont, something I'm very proud of. She passed recently. And I have my mom's resume. On her resume, 1987, co-sponsor was Senator Patrick Leahy, social policy and federal budget.
Talk about a pioneer, like Renaissance woman.
Yeah, I was, what was I, 1987? I guess I was 19 in college. And I was like, I know my mom was really busy and she was pioneering so much and really kept my life as separate as she could so I could go and be on my path. But she just broke so much ground. So she started Vermont's first residential care home.
Beautiful. So how many people did she have at that home when she first began?
We're licensed for 5, and we had 5 quickly. And
Lenny was right there.
Lenny was right there.
Yes.
He was not a part of our license. He was never on Medicaid or Medicare. My mom really helped him with part ownership.
Wonderful. That's beautiful.
So he was able to reap the benefits and really be a part of the growth.
Exactly. And speaking of growth, how many people are able to stay in your properties at this point?
My brother Kevin has 2 licensed properties of his own, and my mom had 3.
Wonderful.
So we have 5 collectively.
Right.
And so we've made a very large impact on
vulnerable
absolutely. Vermonters. Yeah.
And so obviously that lifestyle that you've lived really since you were 10 years old now, segues into your daughter, Martha, is diagnosed with autism. And so the different steps that needed to be taken, but it's really now that she's an adult, that you are looking to have, and we'll talk about Martha's Barn and raising the money for Martha's Barn. So what is the concept behind that, as well as, I know we've talked before about, with the Howard Center, how wonderful that is, and, the program that I wanted to, pick back up on again is the Essentials for Living, what that model looks like, so people have a better understanding of what is a day in the life of Martha Corbanis.
Sure. A day in the life is on our website, so you can kind of see a window into Martha's life. But, when my mom established Vermont's first care home, she got training at a hospital in California called Rancho Los Amigos. So she taught herself. She was self-taught. And so she established really residency agreements with our clients. This is what you're responsible for. This is the expectations of living in this house together. And it was really based on taking accountability for your behavior,
right?
Working on your activities of daily living, and just being a productive member. So the Essential for Living model, I really gravitated toward with Martha as she started aging in high school.
Right.
So I had heard about this Dr. McGreevy. He's a behaviorist, and Martha really did well with that model. So it's a very similar model to my mom's model.
And what would the concept be?
It's just really getting a baseline of your skills and then supporting those skills to be as independent as you can with those skills.
Right.
And just really promoting self-determination, confidence,
right. So
and
with Martha, if you could just explain what that has done for her, that would be great.
It's been life-changing. Right. There's a long history with Martha, having to be sent out of state because Vermont didn't have the infrastructure. And that's a heart-wrenching thing for me to talk about, and I'm not going to go there.
Right.
But when she came home from that short placement, we really delved into this model because it's a really great match for her skills and how she learns. And the really cool thing about my mom, Emma Burke, and Dr. McGreevy, which I've been learning, I just went to his conference, I think it was last year, and he kept saying, if it doesn't happen here, it doesn't happen out there.
Exactly.
And part of this model is, learning the skill, acquiring the skill, maintaining the skill, and then before you bring it to the outside world, you've got to really maintain it, show that you've maintained it, and then you generalize it. It's life, essentially.
Right.
But it's like, if somebody learns to take a shower at home, they're going to learn to take a shower in another setting.
Exactly.
If someone learns to go to school in one setting, they're going to learn to take a class in another setting. It's just really basic skills, putting them into action.
Right.
As independently as possible, with
Exactly.
visual supports, with whatever you need to accommodate someone so that they can promote their best moment of independence.
So what would you say would be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the impact of the Essentials for Living in Martha's life? What's the big aha moment when you saw her do something?
The reason we have Martha's Barn Inc. is because at about age 10, 11, Martha said she wanted to be a farmer when she grew up.
Exactly, yeah.
And so lo and behold, in our family, Burt Corbanis collaboration of getting this property together, putting it into long-term housing for Martha and for others, it's agriculturally zoned.
Right.
So,
and this is right in
luck
Essex.
Would have it, yeah.
In Essex, Vermont.
It's a beautiful 3-acre property, and so as luck would have it, the property where Martha's Barn will be built is behind Martha's house, which when we have the barn, we can engage more clients.
Right.
So when we have the barn, I can take in more Martha's
And that's
peers.
so exciting. And I know toward the end of the show, we'll be talking about the fundraiser that's coming up on September 7th with Community Connections, which is just so fitting to be able to bring the community together over something that is such a need. I mean, I've heard you say many times, over 600, houses are needed for, young adults with autism.
Yeah.
And it's a crisis.
It's a crisis.
It is. And so we'll talk about that event because I think the awareness and the education will be amazing for people to be able to get a better understanding and even to understand with Martha's Barn. Can you talk a little bit again, what would a day look like for somebody? You have friends, obviously you do a lot of networking with people that do have other children perhaps with autism. How would that affect them along with Martha to go to the barn? Like what would that look like for them?
Well, we're a small organization,
Right.
so we only exist under a subcontract with a designated agency.
Okay.
So we don't have the capital to work and do the work that a designated agency does. So the state
Such as the Howard Center.
Such as the Howard Center. So the state has 10 designated agencies.
Okay.
And so we're kind of a subcontract under them.
Right.
So Howard Center supports my daughter's model now. So they are willing to partner with us in a contract.
And implement that throughout
implement this once
the
we
state?
have. No, just locally.
Locally.
Just
which is-
locally.
yeah.
We're starting locally.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You have to start somewhere.
Right. And so an agency, a big agency,
Yes.
like the Howard Center,
course.
they have to be willing to work with us, and they're willing to work with us, and I'm really honored by that.
And you're such a great resource for them as well. I mean, talk about boots on the ground and knowing the...
I've said many times, there's got to be other Marthas. We can share resources, we can share the behaviors, we can share
Exactly.
staff, and it's just, we really need to have the barn, the
new
facility.
norm, right?
Yeah.
To be able to be integrated
There's other
into the
families
community.
like ours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm really grateful for our really respectful partnership that way.
Exactly.
Designated agencies can't save the world.
Right.
You know, families have to come forward and mitigate their own risks. It's a big state. Everybody has to work
Community
within a budget.
involvement. That's
Communities have to
right.
get involved and just really work together as a team.
Right.
So your question was, how will we have an impact?
Exactly.
Our model is not in existence yet,
Right.
other than Martha.
Right.
So our
do
model
you have a model
will
in-
duplicate her model.
Right. So you have a model in mind that would basically be similar to the Essentials for Living.
Yes. So everything that we do now can be duplicated for probably 10 more people.
Right. Okay.
In a
That's what I
day
was thinking.
program
Right.
type model.
Right.
So we will be
Kind of like a pilot program.
Yeah. We will
Beautiful.
become a day program type model.
Right.
One of the really wonderful things that happened in the state recently, which is very, legal guardians are really struggling right now to find quality staff. Vermont just amended their Centers for Medicaid agreement to pay legal guardians in certain situations. You become eligible if you meet certain criteria. We have nothing to do with that. Designated agencies do.
Right.
So if their loved one, doesn't have anybody to implement their goals, they can work with their case manager to see if they are eligible to step in and do that.
Fantastic.
Wonderful for us because we're about families. And so we're about moms like me coming together. I'll mention Julianne in a minute.
Good.
But moms like me coming together and just really facilitating
Change.
change and just really understanding the risks ahead. So we really have to train our caregivers as we age.
Right.
we have
Right.
to bring forward that next generation to replace us.
Exactly.
And so I love this model because it does just that. It works within the resources. I believe it's budget neutral. Vermont has the shared living model, which everybody is entitled to.
Right.
So if you're entitled to that model, you need to make it work for you. And you need to mitigate your risk, and you need to train your caregiver and really work as a team. Because you don't have Lenny Burke farms all over the state. You don't have enough of those licensed properties
Resources,
everywhere.
right.
So you have to work together.
Right. And I do know just from the website that you are a great resource for these families. So is it okay to be able to have families reach out to you and get them on the right path?
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot I can do other than
Head them in the right direction.
Head them in the right direction, facilitate conversations.
Right. And as you
share
say, the
my
networking,
resources.
right?
Yeah,
Just that in
yeah.
itself, and you
that's-
mentioned Julianne as
that's
a,
how I met
a
Julianne,
board member, right?
Who I wish could be here today. So she's a new board member of ours and another mom. She lives in a different catchment area. Her designated agency is different than mine. So we met at a support group actually, and then she and I became talking and began talking, and I invited her on the board. And I said, your son and my daughter are working toward the same goal here. So she invited me to a team meeting at her agency.
And how old is her son?
He's a high school graduate,
Great,
so
okay,
right
so,
around
yeah,
that
18,
age.
19, yeah.
Yeah, that transitional.
Exactly. That's a
Autism
critical
cliff
time.
age.
Yes.
But luckily, her designated agency case manager was happy to have me attending. We talked about this model. We talked about the effectiveness of it for people who don't quite know how to mitigate their own risks.
Exactly.
How important it is. So we kind of shared that resource, shared that model, shared that connection, and it's been a great match. He's a great match for our board.
Definitely.
And it's wonderful to have another mom next to me.
Right. And I know the two of you have talked about the entrepreneurship programs that
Right,
Martha's
right.
been involved in. If you could talk about that a little bit more, because that, to me, it's just so exciting. And we had talked, recently about that program that is in the Midwest where, young adults with autism are working at the car wash. And
Right.
this car wash is doing better than it ever has because they're so meticulous. Everything is getting done, and they take such pride in the work. I mean, it was just beautiful.
Right.
So again, like you said, matching the skills with different people. There's something for everybody. So talk maybe, if you would, about some of the experiences that Martha has had, and then perhaps Noah and some other people that you're familiar with that do have autism.
I first got inspired by these entrepreneurships by our own family business, because we have clients who have been with us for 30 plus years. And one of them that I'm thinking of is an amazing woodworking and artist. And he has a little stand up in front of the house and he sells his artwork. And it's beautiful. I have a lot of it, actually.
Right.
And we had another young man who made greeting cards, and just incredible. And it is such an honor to purchase from someone who has put their blood, sweat, and tears into their work.
Exactly. The meaning and the pride.
I have a lot of artwork. I have a lot of those entrepreneurship type gifts that I hold really close.
And just that you have that knowledge, again, your mom being such a change agent, and we'll talk about her a little bit later, but that you experienced all that and learned so much from her to be able to now bring that program forward, because that's what is making the difference in the community, that the support can be there on both sides.
Yeah. Just really kind of in my DNA, I think.
Exactly.
I don't think I can escape it.
Right.
So, my mom just really taught me. She came to a lot of my team meetings growing up with the kids, and she would see my frustration with the school district, and she would say, teach them. Don't get angry with them. Don't sue them. Just
by the way,
collaborate with them.
Right.
Teach them.
What a healthy message.
Teach them. Bring them to the table. Show them who Martha is. Show them how she excels. Show them what Martha needs. And I'm like, wow, that is the best advice.
Otherwise, can you only
I've ever
imagine?
been given in my life.
Yeah. Trying to.
You have to work together.
Maneuver all of those moving parts. I don't. It's a lot, even with the experience and the resources that you have.
She knew that she had to start a model, or my brother was going to be institutionalized. And so I have just, collaborated with the Burke Corbanis families to just really educate the Corbanis family too, because they didn't grow up. They grew up in the restaurant business, not in the residential care business.
Exactly.
And they truly understand it. And it's just been a wonderful family collaboration. And so when another family approaches and wants to be a part of this, it's wonderful. But back to the entrepreneurships, the Essentials for Living has really, I look at my daughter's assessment and I see what her baseline skills are. And I ask her, she's told me she wants to be a farmer when she grows up.
Right.
And so she does her laundry service, Jacob's Laundry, inspired by our friend Jacob.
Exactly. That's
her
beautiful.
eggs, and we're working on our farm stand still.
Right.
We have 6 chickens now. This set of chickens has not started laying eggs yet. They're late bloomers.
Yeah, exactly.
We check every day.
Right.
But Martha has an amazing caregiver that I really want to give a shout out to. You'll see her picture on the website, and they're kind of embraced, and Martha has flour all over her shirt.
I love it.
Which she always tends to have a food canvas. We call it the food canvas. But she has flour on her shirt, and I'm thinking, oh, they just baked bread that day. And then they were going out for a walk.
Beautiful.
And so Brittany, her caregiver, has taught Martha the art of bread baking.
How beautiful is that, right?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, one
Martha
of those...
can teach you.
Right. So they make this amazing sourdough bread, which we're going to have at our farm stand.
Beautiful.
And to watch the process and then the happiness of the self-esteem of the accomplished product.
Exactly.
There's nothing more beautiful
than rewarding for you as well.
Watching the humanity that goes into that to a young girl that the doctor had low expectations for.
Exactly.
And I think I'm a pretty defiant person, but when someone gives one of my kids low expectations,
watch out.
Just how dare you?
Right.
And I think that happens a lot. I think it's a lot more common than we realize.
Right, I'm sure.
And so you can't give up on your kids. You've got to really promote what they love and help give them the tools they
Get
need
that
to put those
fit.
skills into action.
Exactly. So with the barn, what would, again, if we could kind of go back to, say, whether it be with the Howard Center or you have a collaboration with, a business or other nonprofits, what would the activities be looking like inside the barn?
So our mission includes, art, music, recreation, social.
Wonderful. Yes.
So
all of the above.
all of the above.
Right.
Whatever the individual has a passion for,
Right.
we'll put it into something.
Beautiful. And then you have the property, so you have a trail for walking.
The property is wonderful.
Yes.
I believe 4 times around is a mile. It's a great spot just to exercise, to walk your dog.
So beautiful, right? Just to connect with nature.
Yeah. So I just cleared it again the other day, bought a new John Deere mower. I'm so excited about it and just really want to see it come to fruition.
Okay, well, that's a perfect segue into the fact that there was going to be a fabulous event on September 7th at Catamount Golf Club right on Mountain View Drive in Williston. And if you could talk with us a little bit about the event and, snowball effect as far as helping with promoting the event. But the piece that I love is the community connections, and if you can expand upon what that looks like, because I know it's a full day of activity starting at 8 in the morning with golf.
7 at night, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So just tell us a little bit about that, if you would, please.
So I've been kind of down and out recently, losing my mom, and you kind of lose your steam. You just keep kind of losing your steam. And I got this phone call from Jeff Baliba, who is the Snowball Effect.
Right.
He owns the Snowball Effect. He's a partner. He's a partner of the Snowball Effect,
Right.
which I'd never heard of before. And I got this message, and he gave me a call, and he's like, "Hey, I'm friends with Alex. I live behind the 4th hole. I saw your flyer. I love your mission. I love what you're doing. My kids play golf there.
Awesome.
Do you want to talk?" I got goosebumps. I'm like,
exactly. This is the kind of call you pray for.
Who's this angel calling me?
Right.
How did he know that I'm just really having a hard time?
The timing couldn't be better.
Yeah, and so he helped put this new flyer together, which is quite amazing.
It really is, with the number of different activities. I mean, it was going to be exciting when it was golf, obviously, but now there's volleyball. And
he brought it to a higher level.
He sure
the snowball
did.
effect.
Oh, yeah,
snowball.
it did snowball, right? So
So he has a long history of working with Burton Snowboards. And so, we kept creating these, collaborative meetings together. And he's like, how about we do this? And how about we do this? And I am all about community connection.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is his snowball effect right here. And these are our vendors.
Excellent.
So,
so on the 7th, there'll be vendors set up. Is that throughout the day, or will that be from 4 to 7?
Mostly between 4 and 7, the
Is
vendors
the big
will be
events
there.
like for community where it's free for children under
8.
8 years old, are free. And ice cream. Ben & Jerry's is going to be there. I heard.
Yeah. And
Love
then we
it.
have snowboarding, golf, and volleyball introductions for kids.
Right.
And I believe Jeff and Snowball Effect have collaborated those coaches. So it's
Perfect.
really bringing anybody in the community forward
To try
especially if you
different
have
things,
kids.
whether they've done
Try
it
out a
before or not.
sport.
Exactly.
Yeah, try out a sport.
Exactly.
And
then with golf, I know that obviously you can register right on the website if you want to talk about that afterwards. But what's nice about that is they also have a video analysis going on. So they'll watch your swing and then you get that video afterwards, which is a great benefit.
That is called the Top Tracer Golf.
Okay, I love that.
Learning a lot about golf.
Exactly,
these days.
yes.
And we do have those sponsorship opportunities still available. So if you go on
or even
website.
Even just to mention a few of those would be great. Kathleen. Thank you. Give a big shout out to get the.
So our sponsorship opportunities, if you want to get involved in this great event, bringing the community together for the support of autism. The presenting sponsor is $15,000, and there's one available. Top Tracer Golf Live Experience. There's one available for that, one sponsorship, and that's $10,000. There's a tournament video memento for $5,000, and there's one available. Closest to the pin, there's 2 available, that's $5,000. Longest carry, $5,000, one available. Longest drive, $5,000, one available. Nice. Fastest ball speed, $5,000, one available. Cart sponsors, one available for $3,500, where I believe your mementos will be on the back of the cart.
Right.
And a whole sponsor, and there's 7 available of those at $2,000 apiece.
Fabulous.
We have
what a great day.
We have a lot of ambition for this barn. We realize one event will not build a barn.
Right.
We want to
But
build relationships. We want to
talk about the snowball effect.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just such a great way with all the
not
work
be a better
behind the
partner
scenes.
for us.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and you've done so much work behind the scenes, and now it's you're able to just bring it forward and be able to really explain to people the urgency and the crisis that we're dealing with here when you talk about just young adults, especially, that, as you say, that transitional period when you're out of high school and then next thing you know, you're on your own, and to be able to develop those skills and maintain those and sustain some independence.
Right.
So that's why this is such a beautiful project.
Yeah, it really is. It's obviously very personal for me, but it's very personal for my community. I want to elevate my community too.
Exactly.
So it's not, Martha kind of has her needs met, but others don't.
Right.
And I really want to do everything I possibly can, tear down every wall, build every bridge to really connect that for others.
And when did you, obviously, when Martha was diagnosed with autism, you kicked into gear with a lot of different things through the schools and different agencies, but when did you decide, okay, we need to talk to somebody about building a barn? I know you had the house for Martha, but was that kind of hand in hand when you knew you had that land that someday, does it go back that long? It's just such a beautiful vision, and here it is now.
Kind of a spiritual thing, I guess, but my brother Lenny was in a coma for 2 months, and he had a dream about a barn. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah. He woke up from his coma and he drew a picture of it. I have it above my desk.
Oh boy, that gives me chills.
And my mom found property that had a red barn, and they built their business together. And then, as the universe brings things together, my daughter started saying she wanted to be a farmer when she was young.
Right.
She still does. She's 24 now.
Right.
So for 14 straight years,
that's been her
she
passion.
has been saying she wants to be a farmer. So when Yaya Martha purchased that property,
right,
and brought it to my attention, Yaya Martha and Yaya Emma, whom my daughter's named after, just kind of envisioned that for her as the two Yaya grandmothers talked about the future. This is what Martha's going to need for her future.
Exactly.
And so
what a gift.
Two strong, amazing businesswomen really knew that this was a really great property for Martha to age in.
For the future.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wasn't even aware of it until a certain point. When in 2015
because
is when
the two of them had been talking.
The two of them had kind of been talking.
A beautiful story.
And Papu as well.
Yes, yes.
Papu as well. Tom Corbanis.
Wow.
So they really, family connected that way, and we just knew we had to build something for Martha, like my mom built for Lenny.
Exactly. You had that knowledge and that resource that many people don't have, and now the fact that you are just carrying out that legacy of your mom so beautifully, and the fact that now you're at this level where this is going to happen.
Right.
How beautiful, and I'm not making light of how heartbreaking it is to lose your mom, but the timing, she's working through you here, and here you are, and you're doing these amazing things.
It gives me amazing strength. I shed a lot of tears, and it gives me amazing strength. And I don't know if we have time for me to read.
Please do. I want to wrap up with that if you would, because if you could just kind of mention what did happen and where you were and what took place, because I did see a video, and it's just it's very compelling.
So my mom passed at age 82 on June 30th, and she retired at age 81. So we kind of had to force her into retirement, with dementia happening, and my mom was just such a pioneer and a mother to everyone. She was a mother to everyone, and she just really changed the trajectory for so many vulnerable Vermonters who would have been institutionalized. And so my brothers and I gave her eulogy, and it was my turn to read mine. And one of our clients, who's in a wheelchair, she's been in a wheelchair since she was 9.
She's been with you said 33 years?
33 years. So she kind of grabbed my attention, and she's like, I wrote something for your mom. And I'm, thinking, I've got to read this. I'm going to, how do I collaborate this?
Right.
And, it's just a very tough, emotional time.
Absolutely.
And I quickly read what she wrote, and I was like, come up with me. Just come up with me, and I'll segue you in after me. And so she did. And the whole time, this particular client held my hand rubbed my hand,
I saw that.
kissed my hand. My strength, I cried, of course, but she elevated me to the point where I got strength from her.
Yes.
And it was
strength from the reality of everything.
reality.
I mean, 33 years with your mom and her life and quality of life because your mom, and there you are. I mean,
so these voices aren't always heard. You know, I say sometimes, like, Martha has a voice.
Right.
She may not say, I'm so grateful for everything you're doing for my mom, but I see it in her actions.
Exactly.
And I see it in her saying, home.
just
home.
in her energy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this young woman, I won't read the whole thing, but I will just read a part of what she said. And it's just called My Sermon About Emmy. Emmy was so much to me. I don't know where I'd be if my mom and Emmy did not meet 33 years ago. I know I would not be where I am now.
Talk about life altering.
Yeah.
Oh, that is just so beautiful.
So it's just, I love our family business.
Exactly.
I love what we do. I love that we have had this young lady who's close in age to me.
Right.
For 33 years.
Right. I mean, talk about a family.
Yeah. It's truly a remarkable pilot model that needs to be duplicated more in Vermont.
Exactly. And
there's a lot of families like me. So people
Right.
will say, you're unique. I'm like, no.
Right.
I just have had a platform other people haven't had.
Exactly. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thanks to your mom. And
Yeah, thanks to
you,
my
and
mom,
thanks to the
and thanks to
Corvallises.
just hardships in life. You know?
Yes, yeah,
Hardships
that's a
in
good
life.
point, Kathleen. There's somehow you don't believe it, but some good somehow comes out of it. And this is a living example
It truly
of
does.
just that.
It truly does.
Absolutely.
And you can't really feel bad for yourself when someone who has less abilities than you do is supporting you.
Exactly,
it's
right.
the most remarkable feeling to have somebody who is disabled, who has a challenge communicating, who can't walk, and they are supporting you through a difficult time.
Right, exactly, with her sermon. I mean, that's just as the genuine and pure love that's all you can hope for.
It's the purest of the pure.
Exactly,
it's
right.
The purest
and
of the pure.
unconditional.
Yeah,
You know, it's just so beautiful.
Yep.
So that's a great way to wrap it up because I'm feeling all inspired now. I want to just go do what I can.
Come down.
Exactly.
Yes. We have parties every month.
Okay.
We have a really great time.
Oh, I bet. I love it. Boy, what an absolute gift to the state of Vermont. You and your family.
Truly is.
Thank you so much, Kathleen.
All right. My pleasure. Thanks, Jan.